I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Eight weeks of preparation, 8 weeks of championship battling, 8 weeks to be able to get to here. This is the championship race for the VRX World Cup for Season 2. Welcome everyone to tonight's coverage and its season finale as we get set to go racing for iRacing's virtual Daytona International Speedway. Justin Pritz alongside Bradley Cooper as we get set for tonight's finale here on V-Speed Super Speedway Racing to decide how the championship closes. What could go exciting to say the least?
Well, I can tell you what's really exciting. This all comes down to the grand prizes that we've been talking about all season long. Thrustmaster putting up a T818, the Ferrari edition direct drive wheel. They also have the T248 wheel and a shifter, butt kicker putting on the Gamer Pro and Gamer Plus. So these guys have been thinking about that all season long. I'm excited to see who gets those at the end of this season.
And remember, coming into tonight, the championship is going to look like this. Chris Hodges is in virtual lock position for the championship. He's up 38 points with 29 entries tonight. We'll talk about the details as the night progresses. But the battle is still on for second on back. James Wagoner, Richard Hurst, Casey Ellis, Brian Hennings, all with strong chances to be able to come away amongst the podium positions for this year's title fight.
Yeah, if you're second on back right now, it's kind of a start and park almost situation for Chris Hodges. But if you're second on back, there's still some great prizes. And I tell you, the butt kicker sound system, if you don't have that mounted to your chassis already, That's something that you definitely want to aim for here, especially with Wayne Britton, Brian Hennings. Those guys are in that select spot where they could get that possibility. Casey Ellis here locked into 4th position coming into tonight, but it's only by 3 points. So going to be interesting. I hope these guys are as excited as I am.
The drivers are already making their way to the super speedway, as here's your race analysis for tonight. 100 laps is your distance for tonight's season finale. 80% the field limit, though, so it's not going to be the full run of about 40 laps. So take about at least 5 laps off each run. As well, just 2 tire sets available with the pits. Not expected, though, to be needing those tonight. 1 faster pair if necessary. You have to keep that in mind, though, in a super speedway. Don't use that too early. After all, the big one could happen at any time, even at the World Center of Racing.
Yeah, this racetrack notorious for taking out multiple cars. We've seen it time and time again. These guys are really going to have to pace themselves if they want anybody to sit partner with them or pit together. That's the scenario that they're going to have to think about, because if you have a buddy or a teammate that's already clocked out of this race, use that fast repair, you might be a little less eager to push them.
We'll see how the drivers play things out tonight, expecting speeds near 200 miles an hour. As the drivers get themselves set to go, the Carpe Diem Pole Award is presented to the fastest driver in qualifying for each event, with prizes donated for this season, including custom glassware and keychains. I'd like to thank Carpe Diem for its support this season in presenting the drivers a variety of personalized items in the VRX World Cup. If it's a moment with a loved one or a memory captured throughout life, find the perfect custom item to match it from Carpe Diem Creations. Setting the pole time tonight, Bill Daniels. He set that pole time by 9 1,000ths of a second. He was also one of those towards the mid-pack in the pack for practice. Tonight, he'll be starting alongside Jeffrey Hunter for tonight's finale. In row number 2, it's Brian Hennings. He'll be running a different paint scheme tonight. One of the things suggested to drivers and recommended, run a throwback. He's amongst the many doing so alongside Richard Hurst. Jeff Scott will start inside the 3rd row tonight. 5th place car will start alongside Kevin Mulcahy. Keep an eye on his throwback as well in the 818 on track. Then it's Paul McDonald in 7th alongside Teresa Spiker. Her best qualifying run of the year. She's looking solid entering tonight alongside Jared Epker and Logan Waterer. Will round out your top 10 positions for this finale.
Joseph Fagione is going to start in the 11th position with Mike Chivers in 12th. Greg Pillar, 13th position with Luke Rakowski in the 033 in 14th. Row number 8 belongs to John Hudson with David Collins in the 707, actually getting an EOL here tonight for the 707. He'll be at the back of this field. Jimmy Socks in 17th, Daryl Aronson in 18th, and that top 20 has Casey Ellis and James Wagoner.
Pressure qualifiers tonight included Benjamin Richards and Chris Phillips. They'll start 21st, 22nd. The last on time was Greg Spiker. The rest of the field did not set qualifying time set up via provisionals. DJ Cox, William Britton amongst those in that grouping, along with Edward Feindler in that group. Michael Howerton has an EOL penalty. He'll also be driving a throwback. Then you have Tony Richards, who did not make the starting grid. And Christopher Hodges, your championship delegate, will start towards the back of the field. With the EOL penalties, he'll start 27th.
And I want to say, Justin, I just saw Bill Daniels get an EOL as well. He's having a connection issue, so your pole sitter, the 28, is going to have to go all the way to the back of this field until his connection clears up.
That's the 2nd straight week we've seen one of the top drivers have to pull back because of a tech issue. That is not good at all, especially if you're the control car, to have an issue like that. But the field instead be in the hands of Jeffrey Hunter and Brian Hennings. We're glad to have you with us. The VRX World Cup, the season finale, underway from Daytona. Jeffrey Hunter pushes Brian Hennings to the end of the first lap. Brian Hennings tonight following the days of Thunder throwback. As you've seen with the onboard with the 15, Jeffrey Hunter throwing back to a look seen, or at least a concept, by Dick Trickle. We also have, instead of the 818, the 99 on track. That's Kevin Mulcahy, who is deciding to chase after those very surrealistic logos.
Yeah, it looks like, I believe that was John Andretti. This was a petty car back in the day, the 43 machine, but I want to say it was John Andretti that was driving it at the time. And it should have every General Mills serial car. I remember creating that back in the day, one of my favorites. And then the Me car, an iconic machine as well. Teresa Spiker all the way up to fourth already.
Spiker able to follow her way through. After all, she's trying to handle the race car with a Cougar in the cockpit. Hey, it's a Talladega Nights reference. Imagine if that happened in real NASCAR these days.
I think that was a double entendre there, JP.
That
was
was
in the car.
Okay, get your mind out of the gutter. It's 2x2 for fifth on back right now, though, because Richard Hurst is trying to lead the bottom. Now, important to mention, top line as of late, and we've seen this in the last Super Speedway race in VRX, drivers prefer to run the top and run the single file line until the pit stops and let the pack stagnate and keep calm. Not tonight so far.
Yeah, bottom line already getting pushed, and Richard Hurst progresses up to the fourth position to get a big surge of speed here into turn one. He's going to be side by side with Brian Hennings. And I tell you what, Jeff Scott is giving it all he can, but he just can't quite get him clear.
Hurst, though, able to get a huge shove down the back straightaway. That's Jeff Scott pushing him ahead, and Scott pushing him clear. Now, I can't tell if that's necessarily a throwback for Scott tonight towards one of the Cartoon Network schemes, in that it's more Bitcoin. Hunter gonna need a lot of speed pits built back up. John Hudson and everybody else saying, let's go do the big one now. We're under caution. Somehow, the 5 misses everything, but many more do not.
I don't know where this starts. Probably about the fourth, fifth position, but we had at least 20 cars involved in this.
Chris Phillips, I think, also floored it through the incident to the point where he had to go through pit lane to avoid the trouble. But many others did not. Let's see our V-Speed instant replay. Our big one strikes already.
Hennings gets tagged right there, and then that's where it starts. The accordion effect, and then dominoes all the way back through the field. Who is in that Tide machine?
That is Phillips tonight. And the throwback to Darrell Waltrip and company. That was a very lucky miss, is all you can really say. Watch this. He was at the very back. He originally started this race, the 6 machine did, in 22nd.
Where do you go? Where do you go? Hello.
And all he could do was take the speeding penalty down the pit lane, avoid the trouble. So, see if that ends up getting cleared, because that was to avoid a wreck. Same can be said for the 34 of Christopher Hodges. But a lot of drivers have to get repairs already. Rakowski, Aronson, Hunter, Hudson, already with mandatory repairs. It's lap 5. This is the exact opposite of what we talked about the fast repairs to keep them till late.
Well, I think you're going to see a little more give than take here early in this race, and guys coming down using the fast repair already. That 3-car of Hudson had to. You go back to, well, it's lap 5. How much longer can these guys wait before they get antsy and have to go to the front? I think you're going to see a lot of people backing it up and sitting in the back of this field until the very end.
So, already at 2 to go, per racetrack tradition on the sim. So at the front, it's Hurst, Scott, Wagoner, Fagioni, Hennings, your top 5. Race review is being completed over the radio currently. Many of the other throwbacks involved include Casey Ellis coming to the pit lane now. You also have, still getting repairs, Greg Pillar, who's in a bit of a different throwback. And then there's an interesting storyline in the 01, if I'm understanding correctly. Maybe you can shine a light here. Jimmy Suggs commented on the broadcast tonight. My dad is racing in the car. Good luck, Dad. You've got this. So it leads to the question, is Jimmy the dad, or is Jimmy's dad using Jimmy's car?
I would take that as Jimmy. His dad is in the car, and
It's that allowed?
I mean, fill in? I don't know. I really don't know on the rules. I don't think there's a clause in there. So, I mean, if we're confident enough in his ability, I know that he did pick up a little bit of damage there on that last incident, but if you're confident enough, Jimmy, good luck to the car out there. I know this hasn't been the great start that everyone was hoping for. Hopefully we can see the 0-1, and I wanted to take this opportunity. I did make a little promise here, so Pure Leader 35, we have an opportunity. Let's pull him up into the booth right quick. Casey Ellis, it's Bradley Cooper, Justin Prince in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
I certainly do. How are you?
As promised, and Derek Cope throwback out there. We're seeing a lot of different throwbacks, but that one stands out the most, and I know you said you had a story behind that, so why don't you share that with the viewers here tonight?
Sure. All right. So basically, I suffer from imposter syndrome sometimes when I'm doing well. And whenever I finish well, my friend Greg, who actually painted this car, GP Design, sorry, he told me that Derek Cope won a Daytona 500. I don't want to hear it. Those are his exact words. So it kind of felt necessary to do that, to run this paint.
Well, outside of the paint scheme, we have all of these factors here tonight. You've got your own issues to deal with, but then here on lap number 4, we had a major issue coming out of turn 4, and the field stacks up. What's in store for us for the rest of this race now that you got caught up in that?
Unfortunately, probably more of the same. You know, a lot of this is just monkey see, monkey do. People follow people to the high line, low line, whatever, and not a lot of aggression, not a lot of give and take as it should be. So I only had 30 seconds of repairs. I didn't use my fast repair, so I've got a little bit in the tank. So I'm hoping.
Casey, we thank you for your time. And
thank you very much.
Good luck out there. We'll get you back to your channel. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Casey Ellis in the 35 is in the Pure Later throwback from Derek Cope, the 1990s. But here we go back live and racing. Pace car pulls off. Richard Hurst is going to lead him into turn 1 with Jeff Scott on the inside. Green flag is out. We're back live at Daytona. Oh, no, that's a big jump there. I don't think we're going to like that.
We'll see what's ruled there. That was in the restart zone. He chose the top line. And already he's back to the bottom to work with Jeff Scott at the very least as they ditch Fagioni. By the way, for those confused about the clarification from earlier, the Sox family has sent the clarification that there are 3 generations of Jimmy Sox with the exact same name. The junior is the one behind the wheel. The third is the one watching. The original Jimmy Sox is the father.
So
Restart is clean.
We do have a Jimmy Sox in the car. That's the important thing.
Yes, exactly. But up front, restart is clean for Richard Hurst. He's now using the bottom instead of that top line. An interesting change of pace after his preference to start the race already.
Once you put yourself up front, maybe the situation changes. You know, you're a little less likely to get caught up in someone else's business if there's no business around you. And you can see the whole bottom line from 10th on up has single filed out. I think we're seeing kind of what I was talking about, where a little more timid through this field. Not a lot of pushing the issue. Oh. There's the 90. 3 wide.
That's Pillar and one of the June Dunleavy throwbacks in the heart of the field. That was 3 wide with the 65 alongside. That did not work out on the checkup.
So now Greg Spiker going up through the middle. He passes Fagioni on that outside line. He's progressed about 10 spots on this position. after the little checkup on the backstretch, but these guys still trying to sort it out back here from 11th on back.
I believe that's an error. Derek Cope throwback, by the way, moving down for Spiker, but you have to be aware of the checkups. That's going to be a major talking point today because side trap's going to be big with this car, but also it's momentum-based, right? You need to be able to keep an eye on how far the run's going, how quick the run's going. You can't just slam off the gas and then expect not to slam into a car.
Well, this outside line is not materializing at all. Everybody is taking the bottom. They're going to try to tick these laps away. There you see the 05 try it there briefly. As I say all of that, PJ Cox moves up to the outside. You have I believe that's the 90 that was on that checkup earlier with Greg Pillar, and then Greg Spiker says, okay, let's go. I still have the fast repair in my back pocket. I have an opportunity. A lot of drivers elected not to take that fast repair. Hudson was one of the few. Teresa Spiker, not very many drivers took it, so maybe I was wrong on how timid these drivers are going to be.
Same time, there's a lot of chances to be able to be involved in a lot of wrecks after all. We've already seen a couple this run nearly. You know who's looking to go ahead already? Jeffrey Hunter, who was turned around in that incident. He's already had some scrapes in the front bumper from the bottoming out. He's now got the top line working the best out of anybody so far from the back. Able to get to at least or to the edge of the top 8 alongside Bill Daniels.
Some lap traffic coming around here down the back stretch. This could bring them 3 wide into turn 1. I have to wait and see what this lap car does. That is Darrell Arnson there on the outside. He's going to stay high. I think they're going to meet up with him right here on the exit of 4.
Should be fine as long as there's the awareness from those running up top. Evidence strip and strip on by. No contact. Technical issue warning. Car 28 yet again. They have warned the 28 yet again that if there's continual technical issues at that bottom of the racetrack, you've seen them right there, you'll be asked to drop to the back again.
Yeah, he's still blinking, still having an issue. That's your pole sitter here tonight. So he has the speed, and we saw Bill Daniels up towards the front in almost every single VRX World Cup race. So for him to have this problem in the last race of the season where points are on the line, it comes down to prizes, is very unfortunate. He's going to have to get this sorted. You know, I know that here I'm kind of blessed to not have those problems where somebody can interfere with my connection, but that's not always the case. iRacing very demanding.
Yeah, especially when it comes to even so much as opening a YouTube video while you're under pace laps can be the difference of a couple tenths of a millisecond of delay. Now, people may think, oh, that's nothing. That's only a couple milliseconds. Milliseconds mean everything in racing when being off the line by a half a foot can mean going to the wall and being up about a second faster a lap.
Yeah, the blink of an eye is really all it takes here. And you know, talk about milliseconds, it's faster than the human eye can probably process information, but you do feel it in the aftermath, that wake of the car not doing what you told it to do. And as you can see right here, another one of those aftermaths with Jeffrey Hunter on the outside, got hit off center by Greg Spiker through the tri-oval. Almost another catastrophe as we're 3 wide with PJ Cox in the middle.
PJ Cox, in turn, getting really shuffled back in the Mark Martin throwback. Able to keep it clean, though, as the 10 drops back with them. And those are some of the scenarios we've already seen. You can go 3 wide here, but you need to be pixel perfect. Even 2 wide can be sketchy if you don't give a little space.
We're checking in with the points leader coming into this race. Chris Hodges sitting back in the 20th position. He's just along for the ride here, and we talked about it pre-race. As this unfolds, he just really has to maintain this car on the track. There's not a lot of scenarios where he loses this points lead, but one of them could be a disconnect at this point. And for the technical issues that we were talking about, he's really just along in this race, wants to finish it.
Bill Daniels has been told drop to the back of the lead pack over the radio, so the technical issue is getting worse for the 28 camp. Already at the back of that respective pack, but could already lose the draft. Also, lots of conversations in the second pack about trying to get cars to work together. Up front, like 2x2 is fine. You're in the main pack. In fact, if you are trying to pull drivers back at this point to try and leapfrog, you're doing it wrong. Or you're seeing someone going up the middle. You see, in many cases, the Daniel Eberhardt method. In the second pack, it's kind of redundant if you're 5 seconds back of the rest of the field. There's been a lot of chatter, especially from Hodges and company, to get somebody outside of him and Ellis single file.
Now you see the 33 machine to the outside, and that's Paul McDonald. He's got the 56 of Benjamin Richards. These guys, they're not so much hindering this pack, but they're hindering themselves. They're going to fall to the back of this group because there's just not enough momentum with only 2 cars on the high line, and you see the Repsol, the 34, and the Purelator car all trying to get single filed out, but still they're not making any headway. You can see last time by, they're almost half a second slower than the rest of this pack.
And that's the difference between car to car, generation to generation especially. In the Gen 4 car, obviously you can run side by side, but it's impossible to push. With the Gen 6 car in its most recent iteration, side by side like this is, for example, cost these drivers 6 to 8 tenths a second per lap. In the next gen car, you have to run side by side, and triple car tandem, there's so many different nuances between the generations where if you try and go back and forth and don't adapt, it can be in trouble like we're seeing here, Bradley.
Yep, slowly falling away, and you know, the race, the way it started here, now we've ran more laps than we started with green, and looks like this field has settled down. Everyone's starting to get a little complacent, I guess. You're not seeing a lot of challengers. You do see, I believe that's the 05 of PJ Cox up there with the 10 of Joseph Fagioni. They're challenging, but the inside has been pretty stagnant. I don't think there's been much change for position outside of maybe the top 5 positions.
There's a good chance that top line's about to have a chance for the lead, though, because they're leaving a lot of space between the lines, but that's by design. You can argue. After all, side drafting is huge in the Gen 6 car. You get too close, it slows both the lanes down. They're trying to use the top line as a ramp, it looks like, Bradley.
You get a good surge of speed as you come down the backstretch in that hump on the exit of turn 2. If you run it just right, have somebody connect to your bumper as soon as you hit that, you get probably a good 2 or 3 mile per hour boost. They just have to be careful they don't get connected too early. We'll see more of what we saw into turn 4.
Bad bump on the top line, the top 2 clearing by 3rd. They're starting a side draft actually alongside James Wagoner. They're starting to say on the radio, get away from the wall, even though that's part of the reason they've been gaining ground. They weren't gaining ground this far when trying to get away from the fence.
Well, and you have like a toss-up with what guys are comfortable doing up near that wall versus drivers that are more of a side draft. And you were talking about it just a moment ago. With every car's iteration, they have different ways and methods of how they get to the front. This car a little more dependent on momentum, getting that wide arch into the corners. Getting up next to that wall might be the secret sauce that they need to get up to this front, as they've kind of went stagnant. They're stuck next to Wagoner here in the 3rd position.
I want some of the drivers moving through this, by the way. Up 18. Also with EOL, who's also in a top line. That is Michael Howerton. He's 29 in sim. He's on behind William Britton. Britton is also up about the same range as to him. And that's the interesting part of the throwbacks. Sometimes you get the time to make the custom number, sometimes you don't. In this case, you're Kyle Petty. As the battle for the race lead gets a little bit feisty, finally, they get the boost they need. PJ Cox has a chance to take the lead down the front straightaway. And it looks like they've been able to communicate what they want. That nearly turned a disaster instead.
He got him out there far enough. He gave him that last shot to clear Richard Hurst, but it almost ended the entire day for the top 5. That was close. And William Britton checks up, cuts the brake for the 10 of Fagioni. Those two also could have been another scenario, another statistic, if you will.
Very nerve-wracking moment there, but looks like they'll put their hands and trust into the push because Hurst wants his lead back. Hurst does not want to ride and save the gas. He wants to lead the laps. James Wagoner takes him to the promised land of the race lead. Big check up on the bottom of the racetrack behind Cogs as 3 different drivers move to the bottom. Wagoner and Fagioni move to the bottom. A lot of drivers not with friends up there, it looks like.
I don't know if it's so much the friendships or just the turbulence of this car. It looks like every time they get connected and it's not on a straightaway, this car just surges or moves erratically. And ever since the update, it seems like that's been across the board. These cars haven't been hooking up quite the same. B-car, the next gen, Gen 6, doesn't matter. These cars have been way more erratic on the handling.
So Social Outcast Racing 1-2 up at the front of the field. Headings trying to build up some momentum now with William Britton. Now, an interesting thing about tonight's partnerships and friends, those two are working together as well this evening. As a matter of fact, about half the field is working within small little groups and a couple through the iRacing communication channels. Half the field is running in the same Discord channel tonight. At least 15 drivers are communicating with each other at the same time about what they want to do here tonight.
Half the field winning this race is impossible. We know that. So I think that right now, really in this race, communication is key because, well, you can tell drivers about checkups. You can explain when you're going to pit. Those things are fine. But when it comes down to the very end of this race, I don't think that 15 drivers is going to matter. It's going to be every man, every woman for themselves, and everyone's going to go quiet in that channel.
Here comes the tandem draft, though. We've seen good power from that over the years with the momentum. Headings able to get alongside for the 5th position because of the 64. John Hudson is also following on as the caboose. Hudson was a part of the many in the big one to start. He's also amongst those saying, let's get track position back.
Hudson is one of the few that burned that fast repair, and some of these drivers were fortunate to only get 20, 30 seconds of damage. We talked to Casey Ellis. He didn't have to use it. But Hudson, the whole right side was caked in on this machine. He had to get that free car generated, and now he's pressing the issue because you can see how loose this car almost unloading on the suspension as they enter the transition into the trio.
Yeah, that's one thing people don't remember as much when they initially made the changes to the draft model with the Gen 6 car. The tires were wearing more than 99% really for the first time in really ever. We're talking 95% wear. On bumpy tracks, such as Talladega's front stretch, or in the case of tonight, in the heart of the pack with turbulence, that's going to destabilize the back end of the race car a lot.
Hasn't destabilized these guys' attitudes about trying to go to the front. There it is again. The 74 still not able to get connected. It's just right there at that entrance of the tri-oval where Britton has hit him twice and it's not worked out. They lose more ground now. The 38 of Jeff Scott gets by and William Britton is losing ground. They might consider dropping to the bottom. There's a hole.
John Wick paint scheme still holding on to the 5th position. Hearing drivers are running close on fuel, under 4 laps on the gas mileage for a couple drivers in the field. Greg Spiker just confirmed that to his pack. Spiker, Pillar, and Daniels all lost the main draft in the midst of things. They're about to get reeled in by the second pack. Right before the pit stop window. Here's the thing about 4 laps on the mileage. That gets you to lap 31, 32-ish, Bradley. That's not going to be enough to the end. It might become a fuel mileage race if they have to go 32 each run.
Well, this puts you short, and you've only got 2 sets of tires. I don't think anyone, unless you get into a spin, would elect to take those. I think everyone on the same page would just fuel only. But you've got Bill Daniels, who has a connection issue, not helping this pack at all. The second group of the mass group is catching up to them. They're going to envelop these cars very soon. But even at that second group has lost over 8 seconds now. They're just not, they don't have enough time to catch back up. They might as well come down pit road. Greg Spiker by himself is coming down into the pits.
Michael Howerton also just came down, and that's also on their own in the same pack. Technical issues again for the 28 over the radio. 21's coming in this time by Richard Hurst, who's led much of the way so far, has already indicated he needs to come down. That's an extra gallon plus from being the leader all this time. Lots of other drivers saying they're coming with them.
That's what you get for leading all these laps, but you know, on the flip side, you don't have to worry about getting caught up in too much. There's the 30, the 10 also in. Let's see if they can make it. They'll lock up there, but looks like it's good to go.
That was a little close on the speed limit, though, maybe for some. It's 60 miles per hour, the speed limit here today. No speed penalties for this wave. Scott actually passing Epker. I think the 11 doesn't know what the speed limit is. Scott crashes instead.
Locked up the front end and slid into the box sideways and still trying to get this figured out. He's going to have to back it up and bring it probably a good 3-4 feet to the right. They are servicing that machine, I believe.
Now they are, yes, and that's going to be disaster for Jeff Scott, so take him out of the equation for the lead pack with that mistake right there. Other end of pit road, William Britton. Logan Waterman's running out of fuel. John Hudson's hit the wall. Lots of cars having troubles entering the pit lane this time. We stay green as the 1 makes it on the pit road. Here's a look, though, at John Hudson. After using the faster pair, it's a hard impact in Calamity Corner.
Britton locks up the front tires, goes all the way across the nose of Hennings. There's the contact back there, just behind. Bounces the wall, does a 360, comes back around, and everyone able to dodge it. That's incredible that they were able to miss that, but it does check up the time, and I think now if you're Casey Ellis or Christopher
Trouble
Hodges...
front straight away. Hunter spins it down off the banking. We stay green. What happened? He was in the pit wave and not only crossed the yellow line, he nearly crashed it. What else can you say, Bradley? Because not only is he going to have to return to pit road, obviously, this nearly brought the first yellow.
And he's going to get a pass through for an unsafe pit exit. So that adds to it, but we're fortunate to stay green here. And now you've got Casey Ellis, Christopher Hodges, Luke Murkowski, that with all the troubles we've had on pit road, if these guys execute their pit stop perfectly, they'll be back into this hunt.
Or at the very least in the hunt for the top 10 by the midway point. Looks like, oh, this is a good sign. They're all a part of it in the top-off group. For those staying forward in the lead group, as you see, one of the Jimmy Sox family members in. The top 3 on your pylon, Bradley, topped off. They can make it without a fuel mileage race, it looks like, because they're only 28 laps into the run. They can go another lap, they just said on the radio.
They're going to go one more, and that puts them right in that window where they can make the one more stop and be good to the end of this race. It's going to be tight, but if they can stretch it out, they look like geniuses right now. Christopher Hodges sitting in the back of this field just had to come out here and run this thing, and he's still going for the win.
One car stopped on the racetrack. David Collins. We're still green. I think Collins is out of gas.
He ran out of fuel. And that's a long pit road when you have no throttle. He's probably not going to make it to his stall unless he has one that's all the way in the back. Nope, he's going to park it.
So very bad luck for the 707. You can already see already was on the apron through 3 and 4, it seems. That is absolutely frustrating. Pit stop time, though, for Ellis, Hodges, Murkowski. They've said they plan to pull in this time. Lots of communication over the radio on where they're going to be entering. Ellis says inside. That is way inside. That is speeding. He nearly misses the pit lane on that good measure.
Well, Derek Cope won the Daytona 500, but do you get a speeding penalty to add to that? The 6 car missed his stall entirely.
That's Phillips, who was on his own in the draft and now can't get in the stall. Hodges is already gone. Same for Ellis.
Good.
It looks like Ellis may just said he slid the tires on the set. It gained him time. Ellis got the best out of anybody. Despite going 65 at the cone, he got the luck of the speed average at the end of Sector 1.
We saw that other group of cars go by, led by Richard Hurst. Greg Pillar, Edward Fiedler also still out on the racetrack. They're yet to come down pit road. They might have topped off a little bit more than the rest of this pack. So they're about, they have William Britton there. Remember, he got a penalty, so some lap cars in this group. But I'd look for the 90 to come down next time by.
These two might be in the best of anybody, in fact, position-wise, up in front of this group. Because while they are helping some of those who lost some time, like waiting for, mowing all the grass down the front straightaway, and nearly getting to the cars pushing, Pillar and Fiedler, oh my goodness, they are pitting in the heart of turn 4. That is not where you hit the brakes. That was near disaster.
66 almost got into the back of the 90, and these two are both going to lose a ton of time because that was a very conservative pit entry that almost cost them the race entirely. That there's no way that those guys weren't communicating when they were going to pit. But this brings the 21 into the picture. He's going to gain a ton of time.
Again, pitting is an art form. It takes practice. It takes knowing where you are measured-wise. It takes eye coordination. Pillar on the banking, not where you want to press the brake. Going to lose a lot of time in the pit lane, obviously, from that. But it's Hurst in the race lead now. Okay, he's in the main pack. So is P.J. Cox, Brian Hennings, James Wegener. Everybody else has lost a decent amount of time from this pit strategy, at least 9 seconds.
We have to jump all the way back 9 seconds to 6th position. Teresa Spiker with Joseph Fagioni, Michael Howerton, the 3 of Hudson. Remember, Hudson had a ton of problems on the pit road. He's got a damaged machine. Still better shape than it was after that first caution, but the 3 car, he's going to have a hard time leading anybody, and they're this time by losing even more time.
Wegener's in a great spot, though, if he wants to be able to score some points and especially try and get second in the championship. He's really the only driver amongst that top 3 in points and is in prime position to at least hold on to second if it stays the way it is. There's still a lot of ways to go. As you look at the points one more time, remember, Hurst obviously doing a good job, so that has him a chance to be able to try and jump Wegener. But here's the thing, Wegener might tie with him if it's not Hurst in the victory lane by the end of the night, if this lead pack stays the way it is.
Yeah, Hurst is not in a bad spot at all, and we've seen the 21 car do what he needs to do when it matters most. Unfortunately, he had a great start at the super speedway, and then it went downhill immediately after that. And, kudos to the guys that turned their seasons around. Unfortunately, Hurst was on the other side of that. Great start, and then it just got rockier from there.
So they're all up on the top line. The gap is going down, keep in mind, because when comparing the laps, first of all, bottom versus top. If you have the main group all on the top with the right numbers, you can get that to work. But these drivers are running with how well they're working. Some of the fastest laps in the race. We're talking at least 6/10 a lap quicker than the main group. The 10's kind of proven, even with the rough start to help at least a pusher to the front before. They've turned into a really good pusher now.
Well, for all intents and purposes, I have to say that there hasn't been a standout car that's really been, okay, well, this one's going to go to the front and stay there. Hurst has been kind of back and forth, but he's had good people around him. I think right now with this front pack doing what they're doing, this is going to give even more time. Teresa Spiker shaves it down 7.5 seconds now this time around, and you can see on the left side of your screen, it's dwindling. These guys are going to have to get sorted and fast because they're going to give up. There's even more turbulence, so they're going to give up even more time.
Not sure what the plan's going to be for Hurst here. Is he trying to shuffle out Hennings? Because it looks like half the pack wants to go to the bottom. Half the pack wants to go on top. Somebody needs to work with somebody here.
Well, Wagoner was in that scenario where he was passing, and I think the 21 of Hurst knew that and said, nope, I'm going to move up here and keep you out to dry. This is all about points right now for the 21 of Hurst.
3 seconds taken off that gap since the pit stops now with all this. And that is going to be dropping even more now. They're driving around 196 miles an hour in the heart of the field. They're running at least 3 miles an hour at the end of the straightaway in this pack. Much more coordination in that group and in the second of the lines out of the main pack. Amongst those pushing here, Benjamin Richards, Paul McDonald, Casey Ellis, Christopher Hodges, Luke Rakoski. The back three, remember, trying to save gas. The front two, trying to get back into the lead pack.
It's so strange, JP, how some of these races at Daytona turn into this, especially after pit stops, how you have 5-6 different groups all the way around this racetrack. This is the third group of cars. Then you go back even further, Mike Shivers, they got a 4-pack back here with Jeff Scott, Jeffrey Hunter, Jimmy Stocks. Then you go back even further, William Britton, another tandem of 5 cars. So it's so interesting how this race can develop and unfold as we're not even halfway yet. And all it takes is a caution to group them back up. But right now with 5-car tandems and 5 different packs, the likelihood of that happening lessens tremendously.
Coming up already to 56 laps to go for those tuning in. This is the VRX World Cup season finale for its second campaign. Right now, with how things look, Christopher Hodges well and above in position to be able to lock the championship. That was the expectation coming in as long as he kept it clean throughout this race. Now, the battle for second on back, going to be extremely critical the rest of the way because you have the drivers in second and third in the main group. These drivers up front are starting to get the time back now that they're finally coordinated to run the bottom. But a lot can still happen knowing some drivers need 2 more stops. A few are on the cusp of a 1-stopper to steal the race.
So again, it all unfolds, and we got to look at these outcomes. The 34 back there, he's drafting and sitting behind Casey Ellis. They're not pushing the issue. They're in fuel conservation mode for the 1 stop, like you said. Then you have this other tandem of cars that Teresa Spiker, who started up in the top 5 here today, or top 10, I believe 8th position, chasing down at one point. Now the lead kind of stagnates, 6.5. I don't think anyone in this group can make it on 1 stop, and definitely nobody in that front group is going to make it on 1. What do you say about Hodges? Like, the guy just turned it on in the last 3 races.
For Hodges, it was the question of when would he break through into victory lane because he was extremely consistent. We already seen that Bradley. It was just the matter, though, of getting the wins, and getting wins and getting that first one can really build your confidence and be able to build a good run knowing you finally got the wall broken through. That was holding you back. It's time to keep building the momentum.
Well, and you'll hear this from crew chiefs in real life or owners. It's a head case for drivers when you don't win and you know that you could have performed better, or that one position. When you finish runner-up week after week after week, it starts to play on your psyche a little bit. And once you knock down that barrier, it's like you just opened up the Hoover Dam. Now there's just a flood of success. And when you do that late into a championship and you've already been in contention all year, that's why you're seeing this 34 car in the scenario he is in here tonight for this championship overall.
Already just about the halfway point of this one. So as we're about halfway through the fuel strategy, let's hit this a touch bit early for today as we're near the midway point. It's time to go through the Thrustmaster through the field presented by Thrustmaster. Let's break down how things are looking in these packs. First, it's Richard Hurst. So far, 35 laps led. He's preferred to be the Pied Piper. He's preferred to stay up front no matter the cost, no matter what. The 21 wants led laps. So far, he's led just about every single one. Second is Brian Hennings. He's in the Days of Thunder throwback, trying to push things along on the inside line. He's followed right now by Kevin Mulcahy. He's in a throwback towards some of the paint schemes seen over the years by Petty Enterprises, especially in the mid-2000s era. Fourth spot is PJ Cox. He's in the Mark Martin throwback. His Ford has led at least one time tonight. At the back of the lead group is James Wagoner. His own teammate left him out to dry for a little bit, but he still held on to the back of this main group. He's up 15 positions. Already a good portion of your top half of the field up double digits. Teresa Spiker, we talked about for several weeks the chance of the Monopoly money bet. This might be the best chance yet because Mama T has been top 10 all race really. The Talladega Nights machine is working with Joseph Vecchione, who's been one of the better pushers of the day today. The 10 machine looking for one of their better runs of the season to close out. Michael Howerton, he's gone from dead last to 8th. EOL penalty to start. He started officially 27th. He's up in 8th. 9th position, trying to follow the mantra of Dale Sr. It's John Hudson. This time fully decked out in the number 3 DEI colors and RCR colors of the 1990s, hence the amount of logos. Jared Epker, yes, that machine is in 10th. The reason that's surprising a little bit in this one, he had one of the slowest pit lane times, but after a crash in front of him by Jeff Scott, he still held on to this pack, and he's in better position than most. With that, that's your Thrustmaster through the field, presented by Thrustmaster. Cross the legs already passed on by the race leaders. Pit stops in the next 10 laps, Bradley. Communication already starting to happen.
Well, you got a tandem of cars in front of these leaders. They're gonna grab a few more. And if you're sitting in 6th spot right now, you're hoping that that doesn't happen and pit stops happen first. But 4 more cars to this front pack will probably seal the deal if this stays green. These guys have pulled away another second. And, you know, Fagione has done a phenomenal job of mitigating this damage, but it's just been tough to hang with this front 5.
Especially with how much stronger they've been able to coordinate compared to the start of the run. They've nearly clawed all the time back they lost in those first 5 to 6 laps trying to jockey for the lead group. But that lap traffic could change the complexion of that pretty soon. You see how a lot of the air packs are forming up though. You have Jimmy Sox, the junior, that's currently in 22nd position. Feindler, after his mistake back in 21st. Many of these drivers are hoping for a lot of luck. They're 20 seconds back of the race leaders, who are now having to go high side to get around traffic, and it's not working because Logan Waterburn and Chris Phillips don't want to lose a lap.
Wow.
They're nearly wrecking.
That's
they
in
are
front
wrecking.
of the leaders.
Here we go. The big one yet again. This one big for the race contenders. Caution is out, and that's going to be looked at very likely by race control.
Not in front of the leaders. The golden under rule. It's a gentleman's rule that you don't do that. I know that we're worried about going a lap down, but look what it caused.
Logan Waterburn, Chris Phillips with contact. Waterburn already requested the EOL. Race control is reviewing the incident as several of your contenders, including Richard Hurst and more collected for our second caution of the day.
Did the 30 car make it through that?
Answer is no. He's got front nose damage, but you just don't block like that in front of the leader, as you said. Better yet, one car's fine.
We're gonna have
That
to
one.
back this up a little bit more. This really starts right here. Greg Spiker, Chris Phillips, the Repsoil 1 machine of Logan Watering on the outside. He got away with it. But then the 6 of Phillips jumped up in front. That's not going to work out.
Racing incidents to call by race control. So no penalties coming through, but that was a tough situation. Trying to keep the lead lap right about here. Pretty clear. If you're Hurst, you can't tell that there's a car in a constant checkup. PJ Cox also collected significant damage from that incident. That will change the whole complexion of the race from a fuel mileage race to a one-stopper to the end.
I want to see how bad the damage is on the 30 because this is not good for him either. I thought maybe there's a scenario where the toss-up in the points for the 30 and the 21, but they both get damage out of that, so it's just going to be whoever got the least amount. And again, that goes back to right there, the 707. So many cars got damaged out of this. And resetting the field where we had 5-6 different packs split off from everyone. Now, we could be breeding cautions and get more of these guys caught up in something. I don't know. JP, I try to keep my bias as plain as possible. I tried to say things that don't, rub people the wrong way. But it's just that unwritten rule that I've always had a problem with. And you can go across any league that we've broadcasted here on V-Speed. I've always kind of been firm on this, that when you're a lap down and the leaders are coming, you got to change your mindset.
And because that, the front runners changed significantly. Brian Henning survived the incident. Mulcahy also got through. Fagioni and Ellis, along with Hudson, now your top 5. For those wondering about what the other drivers did, Wagner managed his own damage repairs in the pit lane. Richard Hurst did the same for a minute and 17 seconds. PJ Cox, he spent a minute and 11 seconds after being in the big one earlier. Under caution, getting ready for the restart soon. You're watching V-Speed.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Welcome back to V-Speed for coverage of the VRX World Cup, where the Season 2 finale continues to have interesting storylines. Not only did we have a crash for the race leaders just moments ago, but under caution, we just had a crash. Jimmy Sox, just moments ago, as we're discussing these before the final lap for the pacing, had a technical issue that ended up seeing him not be able to see where he was going, Bradley. Now, the interesting part of this is he not only, after he turned left, kept going, but as you'll see in about a second or so, turned about a hard right, and it collected 5 cars. Watch this. Tech issue here. Knows he can't see where he's going, then turns it right back into the pack into Jeff Scott. Jeff Scott, mandatory repairs. Jimmy Sox the same, Bradley.
I mean, we can watch it, and I mean, that maybe hopeful that they would clear back up. I don't know. They parked the car.
Race is back green, currently in live action, and it could get interesting from here. We are right now outside the fuel mark by still at least 12 to 13 laps. Still one stopper from here. Henning, still your race leader. A couple drivers started on the apron and a checkup. Everybody else looks fine. It's single file for the whole pack.
I have to go back and take a look at this restart as well. There was a huge checkup there. So let's go back on the replay and take a look at that to see if we can sort out what the cause of this was. The pace car is going to pull off. I see everybody smooth and grouped up here, so maybe a shift or some technical issue here in the middle of the pack.
Restarts under review at the back of the field. Front of the field's fine, but around here is where it goes. Bunch, bunch, bunch. Part of the issue being reviewed is the 707 of David Collins, yet again having an incident involved in. Still green though, but that did hurt some drivers for their chance to hold on to the pack. About 16th on back could lose the draft here. Matter of fact, the top grouping of drivers, the top 8, are running away from everybody else right now with the pace they're setting. No post-race penalty per race control. Other drivers like Jeffrey Hunter trying to get back into it, Bradley.
Yeah, I was to say we're riding on board with Jeffrey Hunter. I don't think he's lost the draft, but there's Christopher Hodges up into the top 10 for probably the first time all day long. And now you're in the Hornet's nest. We got this pack back up.
We're under caution and another stack up at the back. Jimmy Sox again. Greg Pillar involved yet again. Jeff Scott involved. We're under caution. It was 3 wide from about 17th on back. Like I said, you can go 3 wide, but there are limits.
Okay, 38 maybe hugged a little bit on the inside there, the 90, and got into the side of Greg Pillar. Backed it up one more time on a different angle.
All these drivers had lost the main draft already because the checkup sequence and a couple of them on the apron. Right there, yeah, that's a massive squeeze.
Yeah, he just pinched a little too much. And not enough room to go through that tri-oval. It's very bumpy through there. On the nose here at the 90. Can't really see out that right side at all. Even with triples, it's kind of difficult to tell how close that car is, and you hit that bump down on that transition. I mean, it was already hugging the yellow line. There's not a lot of room for error, and unfortunately it brings out our, I believe, 3rd caution of the day here.
Cautions breed cautions. That's our 3rd indeed. 9 lead changes today. So the ruling over the radio. 6 and 90. First EOLs of the evening, Bradley, for incident. The other 2 were deemed racing incidents. So our first penalties all day now being given out.
It's just nice to know the air's not here this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially in an area where air can be very humid. After all, we are in Florida for this finale, for the sim. But the time of the caution flag could be an interesting time. Some drivers are saying, let's top off on gas. Remember, drivers can go about 31-ish, maybe 32, 33 if they save. And drivers like Hodges and many more joining those involved in the incidents to be able to top off on the gas.
Now you're just kind of guaranteeing that you're going to make it and to that one stop. The scenario, maybe if we get another caution, the scenario goes to you don't have to pit anymore. I mean, they're right there on that window, right on the edge. So, you know, I think we were at 28, 29 laps the last one, so they're short this time. But, you know, sitting back and saving and then coming down with another yellow pretty much would seal the deal, I think.
These drivers pace themselves around here and prepare for the upcoming one to green, should say. But overall, it's been an exciting campaign as here we go. It's time for the Roger Carruth, the bus stop, underpacing.
I think Henning's just playing with us. I thought we had another technical issue with the lead. Keeping us on our toes, Hennings. Thank you.
A couple drivers are saying there should be a penalty. Others are saying let them have the experience of doing that. But in all seriousness, though, it's been an exciting VRX season. A lot of exciting races this season. Having a lot of different drivers be able to break through for victories. We talked about Hodges and his run. William Britton started off hot. Richard Hurst won to start the year at Auto Club. You also even throw in Michael Howard, who picked up a road course race win. A lot of different drivers showing themselves to victory lane this year. Tonight might be another different one.
Yeah, and you've seen a lot of drivers that have contention to win these races. And that's what's been the most exciting is even with the green-white checkers and the scenarios, you never really know the outcome and what's going to happen. That's why we do what we do here at V-Speed, is the excitement of the challenge, overcoming whatever scenario these races may play out to be. Multi-winners have been scarce, and, you know, with an only 8-race season, to have that much of a variety of drivers winning, that says a lot about how balanced the talent is here in this league.
Remember, we already talked a bit about the prize pool. You talk about how things have gone for Hodges, already looking in line for the T818. Bundle servo with the F1 wheel. Second place still up for grabs, though, for the T248X racing wheel. Pedals through Thrustmaster. You have the butt kicker Gamer Pro on the line and the Gamer Plus. You also have that shifter still in the line for many of these drivers. The battle is still on to decide how the rest of the top 5 closes out the championship for 2024 and its World Cup. I'll ask you this. We're just outside of one stopper. Who's got the best shot from what you've seen today to be able to be the driver who can do this?
Well, if you survive, I think the guys that came in and topped off are in the best scenario. But you don't want to get into the situation you got into at the beginning of this race where you were so far back that there was no shot if the race went green. So you got to be careful, pick and choose, and maybe Lady Luck smiles at you reading of this race. And I like what Hennings and the 21 of Hurstman's doing. These guys up front, they can kind of play that scenario into their favor and not have to worry about interference.
Thought you were about to pick Mama Teresa with that pick.
I don't know. She's been sitting in the top 10 all day.
Let's find out if it's the time to strike. Green flag is out. The top 3 with the best launch. Back it away with under 37 laps to go. Top 3. Oh my goodness, that was some troubles it looked like in through the gears for McCahey.
And he's going to fall off about 3 tenths just off of that restart. Falls back to the 8th position. Onto the outside now for the 15, the 033. Still trying to get this car up to full song.
Okay, he finally gets up to speed, but the damage is very much done. And more damage being built up. Cars into the wall. Mike Chivers still crashing in turn 3. Caution flag is out. Pillar gets turned around by Greg Spiker. Greg Spiker is still dooring Pillar through turn 4. Finally, they get cleared up. But the caution coming out as half the field had to go on the brakes.
Not exactly sure what caused all of that. It wasn't anything that I think the aftermath of the missed shift had pretty much settled out. This is going into turn 3.
Jared Epker already has had to put his car in the tow truck. Let's go a little bit further back here. I think the 11 might have been the trigger right there. Then caution's right here, and then everything else gets worse.
And Pillar thought he made it through that. He had squeezed through 4 wide and almost snuck away, and he does technically get away with it. Greg Spiker was connected to that door for pretty much the entirety of turn 4.
Technical issue, Chris Phillips, he's now out of the race as of this caution. Jared Epker in the same boat. They're both from the same region. There was there an initial contact between the 65 and the 90, but the 11 definitely got hooked at somebody. Right there.
See if we can take this on board with the 5 car and get a better understanding of exactly how this played out.
EOL to the 5, that's what.
Did he get a push, though? And that's what I want to look at as well. It looked like down the backstretch, maybe a touch on the rear bumper. Nope. He wasn't getting pushed. It kind of looked like it with the way the car kind of jerked to the left that he was getting a shove, but no, the 28 was probably a good 15 feet behind him as that happened. We talked about milliseconds earlier in this race, JP, about how sensitive just the car can be with just a 200 millisecond delay. And, you know, with connection issues, the 28 car has since cleaned those up. But you're seeing it right here. Just a millisecond of miscalculation. We're talking about mere inches into that corner, and it sets and triggers an entire catastrophe through that turn.
Just about the entire field, as we expected, topped off on fuel there. Surprisingly, 2 did not. And with us being right at the fuel window, if you save from here on out, Luke Rakowski, Greg Pillar, absolutely cannot make it on the fuel, Bradley. And even though the 90 was just in the crash, he's still staying out.
This could be one of the Richard Hurst strategies where you just put the car up front and pray that something else happens and you're not involved with it. I mean, we've seen that lap 4 caution where drivers were still able to back pocket the fast repair. Now we're starting to see those numbers at 1 of 1 all the way down our scoring chart where now half the field has used it and you can't afford to gamble on it anymore.
Counterpoint. If he doesn't have anything happen involving his grouping, behind him I mean, he's nowhere close to making on the gas, save for Rakowski. They need another caution, and they're crashing coming to the one to go. Jeffrey Hunter nearly ran to the back end of Mulcahy. Mulcahy may need a shifter of his own pretty soon. That's another issue to the gears coming to the restart in the group up.
Check up Mulcahy, I don't know. Just the accordion effect of no speed, and Teresa Spiker got in the back of the 15 of Hunter. This all happening while they're doubling up.
There is a warning on the radio now from race control to Jeffrey Hunter because of the fact he ran to the back bumper there. And that caused a fair bit of contact for a lot of these drivers. Doesn't look like significant damage for anyone involved, luckily. If there was damage, then someone would be not happy at the very least. A lot of people would not be happy to get damage under caution. Example A, Jeff Scott.
Yeah, and your race is hard enough under green. You gotta keep it underneath and make sure that you're not following too close. They were doubling up though, and so warnings are warnings. We'll make sure that we square these guys as we double back up for the 5th time today. The 2 leaders probably going to be short on fuel if this race goes green. Probably praying for another yellow. Greg Pillar, Luke Rakowski, Kevin Mulcahy, Brian Hennings, and Teresa Spiker, the top 5. Let's go back racing here at Daytona. Grouped back up. Here we go. Green flag is out. Back live and racing at Daytona. VRX World Cup Championship on the line.
Solid push from the inside line for Rakowski. A lot of drivers coming to the green flag. We're trying to clutch and coast. Race control warned the field about the gaps before that restart. Already, gaps are forming in the heart of the pack. Fuel mileage race yet again. Hennings wanting to lead laps regardless. Here's the look from the 3 as Hennings has taken the lead up front.
There's Hurst. I was wondering if he still had the fast repair. He did, but now has officially burned that, and the 21 machine is back up into the top 10, dropped down from the 90. The top 3 has changed hands already.
Jeffrey Hunter yet again, now the chance to be the pusher. We already seen him get turned around in this situation once today. 32 to go. He tries to stay hooked up at least a little bit to Hennings. Those who stayed out already, 3rd and 4th on the bottom line. Here's a look now from Mama T. Teresa Spiker just riding along behind Mulcahy. I think we got an answer what year the car is, by the way, as there goes the Kyle Petty throwback. Michael Howerton involved. No caution yet. Still green as Howerton spins it off the grass.
Phenomenal job to keep it off the racetrack. I think we're going to stay green there. Car back up to speed just in time.
Jeff Scott and David Collins also involved, but still no caution. That would have been a big caution for some. Let's take a look at the instant replay. It's at the back with the 44 on screen. Race control already reviewing the incident.
Looked like the 707 got into the back of the 38 there and sent him down into the what would be scored as the 29 machine.
It's just not been his night. That's the 2nd time he's basically lost the pack. Howerton's going to need another caution to be able to have a true shot here. Same for anyone in that incident. Up front, though. Okay,
lead.
Yeah, change again. Here comes Teresa Spiker to the outside, the 70. Able to get to the front first time all day today.
Got good help back there with the points leader. And here comes the shot down the backstretch into turn 3. Gonna stay on that outside and keep the partnership. Fagioni, another great pusher. Here comes Hennings and Mulcahy to surge back out of 4.
Teresa Spiker has only led 2 laps the entire season. Both of them at Talladega Superspeedway. There it is. 3 now on the season. Mama T looks very comfortable, and Christopher Hodges seems content to push the longtime series admin.
We got high praise just before this race as well, and we want to thank Mama T and the character to come down here pre-race and thank us for what we've been doing. Trust when we say it's a privilege to do what we do, and we appreciate the opportunity to be here for the VRX World Cup.
puts a ton of work into these races, puts a ton of work in the back scenes of things to be able to make sure these races go off well. It's been an exciting season from start to finish here in the World Cup for Series campaign. Season 2 campaign, I should say. Teresa Spiker with Hodges, 1-2 up front.
Gotta be careful there, pushing through 1 and 2. That was a shot on the back bumper to keep him at the lead. But there it is again down the backstretch. Such a weird time. He hit that car really square, but Mama T felt the turbulence and they lose a little bit of ground now to the 99 on the inside. Another shot into 3.
All day today, if the numbers are there, the bottom line's been the stronger part because of the shorter distance. Once again, shorter distance prevails for now. Top line starting to lose ground, even though it's about the numbers even. The push is already being talked about. The 10 Faccione is nearly triple car tandeming with a car that doesn't like that.
Yeah, I saw that shot down the backstretch, and if you're Hodges right now, you're like, well, I got to get squared up on Mama before I can push. If I get a shot in the back, that could upset this entire group. And, you know, that's the risk you take. These cars were not designed to do that. You can get away with it maybe in the next gen, but these newer cars are a lot different than what you're seeing here today. Round front ends, round back bumpers. Yeah, we're on the super speedway package. They are a little bit different. You can't get connected in 3-car tandems.
Now, how do you get connected in terms of the strategy? Because these drivers aren't really saving. They're running full pace at 198 miles an hour down the back straightaway. That's pretty indicative of no one saving gas yet, although most of the field's shuffled to the bottom.
Yeah, I think maybe we're going to see them come down pit road here. Those that are guaranteed not to make it. Mama T gets left completely out to dry with, there's Greg coming up to the outside, the 34 all the way to the back. They're going to fall all the way to the end of this line.
Well, leaves Hodges out to dry. He does have Casey Ellis at least. They've been working well all race. So now it looks like the field is starting to play the fuel mileage game because Mulcahy has dropped his pace by at least 2 miles an hour off the corners. Now, obviously the question is, Bradley, if you know you're going to at least try to splash off the pit road, when do you do it? When is too late?
I mean, based off of how this race has gone, maybe you just stretch it out in the hopes of a caution, come down as long as you can run it as long as you can. Overall, you're in the scenario where 4 or 5 cars might be able to make it. I mean, that extra caution puts the 34, the people that came in and topped off. You have Richard Hurst in there. There's quite a few drivers that are right on the edge of this window.
Looks like the 3 of Hudson wants to go around because, yet again, car 28, Bill Daniels' technical issue. And nobody wants to work with a driver with a history of technical issues on a super speedway. No matter who you are, this Wagoner nearly got Hudson to drift down. Wagoner gives him a door shove back after the slide.
Did Wagoner have a connection issue there for a moment? I thought I saw that 30 car blink for a moment. The 28 has been blinking pretty much all race since we started. Remember, that was your pole sitter that got sent to the back of the field. A lot of problems here for some of these drivers.
Bill Elliott throwback as a result of that tech issue, having to run to the very back of the field most of the day. This is the farthest Daniels has been in a while. Big stack up at the bottom again. Pretty clear it's fuel save time. Hudson is just keeping the foot to the floor.
Yeah, he's picked up 3 spots here by himself. And now a little side draft. That is side draft to the max, a little door touch from the 33. But he's up to 6th now. He's going to go up here and Dale Earnhardt and take the lead.
Yeah, look at this. He's going 190 miles an hour in the corners. They're going another 2 to 3 miles an hour lower at times down below him. This time they picked up the tempo a little bit. This is amazing.
Solid.
Yeah, a few drivers saying, you know what? If some of the drivers feel comfortable, I'm going to go too. Hurst already saying all race we've seen, let's be the leader and never give it up. Now he wants that lead back, working with Hudson.
See
John,
you later.
Nicely done. John Hudson to the point. James Wagner trying to get up with his teammate. Paul McDonald also up there. So a lot of the teammates essentially saying, we've got to work together.
JP, I want you to check in. How many of these guys are still hanging out in the same Discord channel right now? Because if it goes the way it's going right now, it doesn't look like anybody's working together into the outside wall for the 3 car, and he saves it.
That could have been disastrous with that tandem by Hurst trying to get away from the rest of the field. We still stay racing as with that, the field says, Hurst, you're going to the back after that move. By the way, your answer is 11 of your 29 starters are in the same grouping together. 2 of those drivers who initially started are out of the race. Originally it was around 13 to 15, if you remember. Many others have grown in partnerships and found different spotters to make sure they were keeping an eye in this exact situation. Benjamin Richards amongst those starting to pick off drivers.
And he's not going to let Hurst come down. That hole was there. It's still there, but now Richards is going to pull slowly back up to the 15 of Jeffrey Hunter. And you're going to have to pull a page out of what John Hudson did, essentially by himself. I don't think I've seen that in a long time where a car single-handedly passes the entire field on the outside.
And this is killing everybody, though. Look at this. They're up to 193 miles an hour on the side draft. They're going 3 miles an hour quicker in front. Somebody needs to clear somebody, or the entire back half of the field's about to lose the leaders.
If you're Hurst right now, you're like, I need to get down in front of you. I'm losing this draft. The 90 needs to get to push in here. They're losing probably 3/10, 4/10 a lap. Jeffrey Hunter is pulling away 2.5 seconds now.
That is a big deficit they'll have to try and climb out of now because of that side drafting. They are just outside drafting range still. They need to work together and fast if they want to get the pace back up. But that's even worse now for them in a mileage race like this, where if you go too fast, you're out of gas by the end. No one's coming down yet.
Are we trying to stretch it out overall? Is that why Hudson was able to get up there and get the lead? There's 2 lap cars here on the inside. That's the 51 machine of Darrell Aronson. The 29 scored on track of, I believe, Howerton. And
Yep.
they get clear of it. But, you know, for the top 5 to split off the way they did, that just goes to show Hudson's not in save mode whatsoever.
That's going to be a huge question. Now, remember, too, second pack, it's worth noting, pit stop time is pretty soon for 2 drivers. Car 90, car 033. Luke Rakowski in the 033, Greg Pillar in the 90. They both cannot make it to the end. The field is asking, what are they going to do? Oh, and the lead pack is hitting the wall indeed. Up on the fence, Paul McDonald. 3 wide still with the lap cars. Brian Headings nearly gets across the nose of Mulcahy as they all save it. There is getting close, and then there's that.
If you're James Wagner right now, you're in a prime spot to pass up the 21 in points. You do not want this happening near you. He's just trying to hold on to the draft and pray that they pull him back around as you see that second group starting to resurge after that wall contact. All of those cars ungrouped. They made up over a second.
The
Still
field's
climbing.
Still trying to run the high side. The main pack is the bottom line once again, and I think these drivers are there. Daryl Aronson, in fact, is pitting this time, so there goes the bridge chance. But these drivers up top are checking up hard. 51 into the pit lane. Pit window is open. Bill Daniels just confirmed on the radio he is on the dot to make it to the end right now in Pack 2.
Well, he's got to get that connection issue cleared up. There's making it to the end, but if your internet doesn't hold up for the rest of this, it doesn't much matter, and the 56 needs this group to stay together. They're within 2 seconds as they go through 3 and 4. It's slowly chipping away. They're starting to get back into that hunt for draft.
But look, just about in the pace to be able to do so before Aronson pit down for his final stop of the race. Now they've got the full draft. Just have to stay in line. Main group is already indicating with Hudson on back that they would follow John Hudson if he has to pit here. Coming towards 10 to go is the indication on the radio. The main pack has already indicated pit stops are coming up for your main leaders. So that's pretty clear. You can't make it on gas. But you have some because of the save effort in the second pack, even with the checkup, that might do something here.
It's looking more like what Michigan should have turned out to be with the fuel strategy and how these races can go green. Everybody in different scenarios and their mindset. You have somebody up on the box right now calculating where can I pit, where can I make up time. Save, save, save. Bill Daniels talking about how he can make it. They've caught back up to this pack. They're in extra mode right now, and the 3 car is leading the way. He's not going to make it if he stays out front.
Everybody knows the case from what it is the conversation. Just how many have to come with. Benjamin Richards is now trying to make passes. Richards is trying to aggressively sidetrack in the 56 back there. Nobody else is willing to move off that yellow line. And if you feel like you're safe, I can see why the thought might be there. But there's being safe and being really safe. As in, good to attack.
Yeah, I think the 56, once he caught, he was ready to go on the pounce. He knows that this front pack can't make it. And even so, everyone behind him, they lag back a little bit. And cars coming down pit road.
Or yet again, pit from the banking. That could have been bad if there was anyone behind him. Rakowski makes the pass into the pit lane, also in. Vaggioni, Hodges coming in. Ellis is in. Pit stops coming up for the main pack. Hudson on back, already indicating that they are ready to follow the 3 whenever he's ready. 3 this time by, confirmed.
This is going to be a pit stop with 10 laps to go. You cannot afford a mistake.
This could be the difference for the race. Drivers are at least 2 laps short for the discussion. Splash of gas to be able to make it to the end. Here comes the send for the pit lane. 2 by 2. And it looks like a great stop for McDonald. What an entry for McDonald. No black flag on entry. Hudson loses 3 spots before his own box.
Very conservative there, but if you remember, the 3 car has not had good luck on pit road today, so I can understand why he was a little timid to come down there. How's this cycle through? Jeffrey Hunter, Bill Daniels, they were talking on the radio that they're going to make it.
A lot of drivers are close on the mileage still. Your leader now is Jeffrey Hunter. William Britton saying he can only go 4 more. With PJ Cox and Logan Waterman in their respective pack on the pylon, 9 laps to go. Wagoner currently working, Howardson working. You also have the huge run for Hurst. Hurst is right now trying to get his lead back, but he's got a lot of lap cars between him and the rest of the group.
And you know, Bill Daniels is aware of that. Keeping Jeffrey Hunter up here is his main goal right now.
No one willing to be able to become the leader. Risk running out of gas for the final lap right now. Lap cars up top. Baggioni is also up top. For whatever reason, that cost him some time. Outside of that, fuel mileage calculations in full calculator effect. Nerve-wracking time, if anything, is on for many. 8 laps to go on the season.
Well, to see it all come down to a fuel mileage race, could we have a first-time winner? Or do we see somebody upset? Because we know that top spot has pretty much been declared coming into tonight.
Oh, look at this! They say, move over lap car. That's the 51 of Aronson who got shuffled, and Ellis nearly put in a wall with that. Bill Daniels opened up the bottom and made the pass.
Now Baggioni on the outside.
The 10.
Hurst.
Hurst following on behind. Remember, the 10 is already pitted in this race. Hurst using him as a fuel-saving device and a race-leading device. Richard Hurst to the point again.
Impressive and heads-up move there from the 21. Now they're shuffling around. This doesn't look like Daytona. This looks like a race to the flag at Kansas. These guys are moving all over the racetrack and not willing to work together. This is coming down to just pure speed. Who can make the move?
7 laps to go on the season. A lot more conversation on pit stops coming up. 5 saying they're within a couple laps. You also had the 29 machine on track. Michael Howardson already a lap down, say they're within 5 laps now from the last call out. Those top 2 are running away. Everybody else is being forced to burn their own stuff up for gas a little bit. Jeffrey Hunter doesn't want to hit the gas though. He refuses to go more than 190 down the straights.
I think Richard Hurst is going to make it. I think he has enough.
Gonna be tight. More pit stops coming in this time by Chivers, Greg Spiker, Edward Fiddler that already come in the past time by. More expected to join in with per the radio chatter. They are in fact. It's Britton. It's the Mark Martin throwbacks of Collins and Cox. And the one of Logan Waterman all in. Britton hard into the wall on his pit stall. Crash on the other end of pit road as Waterman gets turned. We still stay green. Down to 5 to go.
It's happening in front of the leaders again. You have the 10 getting into the back of the 90 of Pillar. You're Hurst right now. You're having flashbacks. 5 laps to go. Now 4's across the line. You don't want anything to go wrong in front of you right now.
Once again, Hurst lifting off the gas. No one in front of him in his fight. The drivers in his fight are trying to aggressively save. Even his own teammates are in that fight. When you throw in Jeffrey Hunter with James Wagoner, a well-known teammate, mind you, in that camp. Also throw into the mix in that regard, Bill Daniels. It looks to try and see if he can steal one after being forced to shuffle to the back. They are in aggressive save mode. And the hope has to be for someone to have an incident or to run out of gas. As this second grouping fares out, Hennings up to 5th. He's the first of those good on gas, but he needs a miracle. 35 seconds, not gonna happen.
Justin, it's been a great season, but what a great race. And this is probably the capital of all the racing we've seen so far this season, and to finish off the year with what is probably going to be one of the most memorable moments. Hurst has to finish ahead of Wagoner, and he cannot afford it. He's up here with lap cars, and he's in save mode right now, all by his lonesome. He is carrying here to 2 to go to get this car to
hold
victory
on.
lane.
Daniels, the only one in his pack to be able to make it. A crash. It's
Teammates,
Wagoner.
they take each other out.
Jeffrey Hunter in the wall. Michael Howard to the pit stall. Those drivers in hard save mode definitely can't make it. Hunter spun a second time in the pit road access lanes. Richard Hurst is the only driver who's trying to stretch it with any draft now. Can he make it? Another lap and a half is the huge question.
I think he can. I thought he could earlier. No, he's out. He
Richard
is
Hurst.
completely out.
165 miles an hour. He lifts hard out of the pack. Coming to the white flag this time by 1 to go in the season, presented by VRX Simulators. Richard Hurst, he's out of gas. Hurst is out of fuel. Where is Bill Daniels as they come around for the final 2.5 miles? Daniels is still on the throttle. He tries to coast at 3/4 throttle as he takes the lead, and now he might be about out of gas. Now he's out of gas through the banking in 1 and 2. Bill Daniels flips the switch.
What does this mean, JP?
Bill Daniels trying to coast it home at 162 miles an hour. He's flipped the switch already. Does he have enough gas even with the tech issue? Now he's starting to sputter even slower. Teresa Spiker is leading the main pack down the back straightaway. Daniels just needs to coast it home. Hurst is stopping to the backstretch. Bill Daniels can wave to the flag man from here. Bill Daniels coasts it home for a win. And what a strategy race to close it. Heartbreak for Hurst. A crash in the main pack behind him as Mama T will get second. But you can say one thing. Christopher Hodges, a top 3 run, puts the exclamation point on the championship. He is your Season 2 champion for the VRX World Cup.
I'm still trying to unpack all the emotion. I have a pure smile on my face right now. I thought for sure that the 21 was going to make it, and when he didn't, I thought Daniels was out. I think he flipped the switch 4 times around that final lap. Just incredible.
Just barely. Daniels able to make it under power. He's not going to even make it to victory lane here. He's out of gas. Technical issues or not, you talk about a race that you don't expect to win with a tech issue. This counts, as it looks like Mama T might be helping Daniels. Hodges gets to celebrate a championship, though. It's his burnout for the championship right here in Daytona.
Well, at least we did get to see somebody burn it down here.
What a wild finish to the season. That's all you can really say here today. But for Christopher Hodges, he's a champion in the VRX World Cup as Bill Daniels bookends the season with a victory. Bill Daniels to victory lane here today at Daytona. Post-race interviews and your final results when we return here on V-Speed. You're watching the VRX World Cup. We're back after a message from our sponsors.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Welcome back to V-Speed for coverage of the VRX World Cup and a thrilling finale here at Daytona International Speedway, the World Center of Racing. It comes down to fuel mileage to determine who picks up the last win of the season. What a thrilling finish, to say the least. Let's take a look at your unofficial race results here tonight, as on fuel mileage and on fumes, it's Bill Daniels who survives despite the fact he had all the technical issues that cost him the pole position, that sent him to the tail of the field. He still is the one who wins the race over Teresa Spiker. Teresa Spiker worked with Christopher Hodges in the final stint. If Daniels ran out of gas even a couple corners sooner, it might have been Mama T's race to win. There was also that crash in the final few moments for that pack, as Mulcahy McDonald also finished on in that pack. Brian Hennings got turned around at the very end of that race, with John Hudson also involved with Benjamin Richards. Luke Rakowski and Casey Ellis were your top 10. 28 seconds, first attempt, by the way.
18 lead changes and 4 cautions. Phenomenal job here by everybody at VRX, and this finish was just, I mean, capitalized on pulling the heartstrings and all the things that could have went good and wrong, and just an excellent job for that top 10. Joseph Fagione is going to bring it home in 11th spot. William Britton 12th. PJ Cox in 13th, with James Wagoner in the 14th position. Greg Pillar, I think he had an up and down day, and so did Richard Hurst, unfortunately back to 16th. Logan Watering's going to bring it home 17th. Jimmy Socks, one of Jimmy Socks, all the Socks, 18th spot. Edward Fielder in 19th, and Greg Spiker 20th.
21st position went the way of Jeffrey Hunter. He finished 2 laps down after another disastrous pit sequence. Mike Chivers, along with Aronson and Howerton, were amongst those multiple laps down. Also in the race at the very end, David Collins, but 3 down. Your DNFs were Scott, Epker, and Phillips. Tony Richards did not take the green flag at Daytona. That's a look top to bottom at your unofficial race results here this evening. Most of the laps went the way of Richard Hurst, but he ends up finishing 15th for his efforts running out of gas coming to the white flag. Race review will be tomorrow. Can be said one more incident. We have got confirmation of points penalty to the way of the 65 after an incident with the 35. Everything else will be reviewed tomorrow to be officialized. But one thing is for certain, Bill Daniels is your race winner. Let's take the time to speak with Bill Daniels because, Bill, that was wild. Talk to us through this one because you had tech issues all race. You were told to drop to the back of the pack twice, including before the start of the race, yet you still somehow win. What's going through your mind after all that?
That was just sheer dumb luck. I just walked into that one. There's really no reason I should have won that. Coming, I think, with 98 or on lap 98 when every other leader pit. It was just kind of a crapshoot as to whether I was going to go or not, but chanced it and luckily it worked out well.
So with the fuel mileage situation, what was going through your mind as you were seeing everyone have the different strats? A lot of people were trying to push, and then you're on the radio saying, I'm on the money.
Yeah, just hanging back there, it just kind of, again, lucked me into that situation where I knew that if everybody else was in a tough situation on fuel, that I may have a shot at this.
And indeed, you take that shot and you run away with it in the end by 15 seconds on the mileage. Overall, how would you describe this campaign?
It was a very tough run through 8 races. Those were very tough drivers throughout all of them. But it was very fun at the same time, very rewarding.
Anyone you want to thank on the race tonight?
Um, Everybody that put this together, really. Yeah, everybody that participated and everybody that watched.
Once again, congratulations on the victory today. What a way to win it.
Thank you.
Bill Daniels wins on fuel mileage in the only possible way someone with the tech issues might have a shot. It falls perfectly in Bill Daniels' lap. Mama T nearly had it fall in her lap. If things went a little bit differently, she would have got, what, $12,000 in Monopoly money? He is with Bradley instead in second.
Yeah, I think that's what the bounty was. Teresa, I saw that the 21 of Hurst had ran out of fuel. Then we saw Daniels flipping the switch on and off. You were about 28 seconds behind when this all began. And I saw the me car coming out of turn 4. I thought maybe, and it would have been a storybook end, but still just a great finish. Mama, phenomenal job out there today. You stayed in the top 10 and you get to be up here post race at the end of the season. How do you feel after Daytona?
Fantastic. That was an awesome race. It was a good run, and I'm super excited for the future. Thank you to VRX for allowing us to put this on, and I want to thank Thrustmaster and Butt Kicker and Carpe DM, as well as Honda for a sportsmanship award. Thank you for my mother-in-law, Joanne Spiker, and my Nana, Rose Matchett, for supporting us all season. And thank you to my husband for racing with me and all the support from my kids. Sean, Jordan, Craig, and Anthony, you're the best. And thank you to Brian for all of his countless hours of support. And he really pulls the team together. He is a big, big part. So I can't thank Benji and everyone that has stuck with me through all of this craziness. And thank
Mama,
you.
I gotta say, they usually thank him at the end. You're here in second place tonight with what would have been probably the capital race that we've had all season long. And you came in pre-race, you thanked us and told us how great of a job, but the pleasure was all ours. We even said that during the race, that here tonight for what we did and putting this race on, you, without you guys doing this, putting it all together, it it doesn't mean anything. You have put this together, and so ultimately I understand why you're thanking everyone, but how about it? Second place tonight. It just, did you think that this race was going to go the way it did?
No, absolutely not. I did not expect to get second. I'm super, super excited. Um, I just, I don't even know what to say, Bradley. I haven't been up here in
That's
so
perfect.
long.
That's actually
Yeah.
perfect. You're in the Will Ferrell car and you don't know what to do with your hands. That is fitting right now. Well, Mama, since you thanked them all already, we've got our champion here that we're going to go to next. Mama, is there anything that you'd like to say or, shout out with what we got going on here? And you talked about the future at VRX.
Yes, Christopher, congratulations on the win for the 2024 World Cup through VRX. I can't thank all the drivers enough for supporting us. I'm super excited for all of the winners, all the drivers. Yes, we will definitely be moving forward in the future.
We thank you for your time, Mama, and all that you've put together here, the sacrifices of time and getting this all organized. We'd like to thank everybody at VRX for the prize pool, butt kicker, Thrustmaster, Carpe Diem, and Honda, and all the people that made this possible. And Teresa, thank you very much, and congratulations on the best finish here at Daytona that we could possibly imagine. It really came down to who had enough fuel, just shy of it here tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Bradley, Justin, you're the best. Thanks.
Second place finisher here at Daytona. And that brings us finally to our championship and third place finisher. Our champion here tonight, JP, is down in victory lane next to Chris Hodges for this championship.
That's right, Chris. A lot of drivers were congratulating you before the race started tonight. It looked very, very, very likely for the championship. This, the exclamation point, 29th to 3rd. Talk us through being a VRX World Cup champion.
It's just so surreal. Didn't like I've said before, last season was up and down, and just my first getting my feet wet with iRacing, and you know, this season it's just been started off consistent and just learned as much as I could, and now we're world champs. So got into the last race and knew I had a 99% chance of making it. So started in the back, wanted to make my way up front, but didn't want to do it too quickly. There was a wrecks early, so knew that was gonna probably happen. So wanted to make myself, cautious at the start, and just started saving fuel. Feel like if it would have gone green, we would have been me and I think Casey would have been able to make it on that green flag stretch, and then with about 45 to go, we had that caution. So, but yeah, it's feels great. Just so proud of not only myself, but everybody that's put this on Mama T. It's just great to have so many good people around you and a lot of good supporters as well.
And to quickly touch upon the race, after that caution flag period and what we've seen in terms of fuel mileage, one thing seemed to be clear: you wanted to work with Teresa Spiker, or at least that was what the car language was. Was that the case, and why?
Well, actually, a few days ago, I had in my head that if I was with Teresa, I was going to try to help her as much as I can because she's always up in the front in here, so it's someone I can trust. And she's, like I said, she's been a big supporter of mine, so I always wanted to push her and help her out. So this race got down to it, so I just told Benji stay behind me, and because he was trying to make moves to the outside, and I was cautious of doing that because we just two cars wouldn't get a run. But I knew with Teresa we could get up there, and she could hold the car steady, and we could get up there. And yeah, that's basically what we did. We just I just told her whenever we were coming about 4 to go, and I told her coming to the line in the tri-oval, go whenever you want to, and she immediately shot out. So that's someone I know can be aggressive and I can trust. So, and me and Brian, or not Brian, but me and Benji just went and we just stuck with it, got to the outside, and coming to the finish, I thought she won, but Bill did a great job saving fuel, and yeah.
Now that you have the championship, you can also say this: first place prize, a T818 bundle. That's a servo wheel. It includes a Formula One rim, one of the more advanced ones on the market, the Ferrari SF1000 with that. That's a wheel, mind you, that allows quick release wheel attachments to be able to swap whatever rim you want. You also have the dynamic LEDs and direct drive technology. How's it feel to be able to have that hardware now going to be in your possession soon?
Oh, it's great. Don't have a lot of room in my room at the moment, but we'll figure something out. Gonna move some furniture around, do some stuff, try to get an actual sim rig. Because I literally just drive in a gaming chair and have my pedals stuck against the my wall. So, just a standard setup, and now hopefully get some stuff. Get it if I get it soon, I'll definitely have to move some stuff around, put a sim rig in my room, and yeah, it's definitely a huge game changer. I'm able to now have one of the best uh, uh, drives on the market, or steering wheels. So and Thrustmaster and they do a great job with all their wheels. So I'm super excited to get to try that. And yeah, it's just thankful, so thankful.
It makes you feel better in terms of before you get the sim rig direct, there is a desk mounting system on top of the cockpit mounting system for that wheel. Anyone want to think about the run, though, throughout this championship on the way to becoming the Season 2 title winner?
Oh yeah, like I always say, parents, huge supporters. We always watch the race back. They're gonna uh, have a we're gonna have uh, a great time tomorrow watching it back. Obviously didn't get the win, but championship we're gonna celebrate. So, Mama T, like always, I was gonna push her tonight and try to get that win. Didn't work out, but still got a good finish, and she's like we've talked about. She's just been so helpful, and she's the reason that this is all going on. So I can't thank her enough. And uh, Richard Hurst, Brian Hennings, all these guys. It's hard to go down the list and name them all, but um, it's been a rough season at times. We've had a lot of cautions in a lot of races, but I think it just took a little bit of time to get everybody adjusted to each other, and I feel like the end of the season has been really good, at least for the front racing. But just got to thank all my competitors, just helping me and grow, and everybody's been able to grow with each other. So it's been a I'm like I said, I'm thankful to have a good community around VRX and around me. So, but yeah.
Well, Chris, congratulations. Once again, you're a VRX World Cup champion.
Yep. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for your the broadcast you guys put on. It's amazing. I always love going back and watching the races.
Christopher Hodges, your VRX World Cup Season 2 champion here at Daytona. And again, race control to review any incidents throughout the night tomorrow for any post-race penalties, but I can tell you this involving your top 5. Christopher Hodges finishes out as the champion. Second place, because Richard Hurst ran out of the final lap, ends up holding on to second spot. The point difference in the end, 4 points, with Wagoner
Wow.
still holding on to that spot, with Hurst finishing behind the 30 because of the mileage situation. So it is Wagoner who gets the T248X racing wheel and pedals from Thrustmaster. Instead, it will be Hurst will be getting the Butt Kicker Gamer Pro. The Butt Kicker Gamer Plus will go to Brian Hennings, though. 1 point, Bradley. Because of what happened in the final lap of the main pack with the crash we referred to a bit with the 74, almost still slipping and sliding around in that. That's a difference to be able to get a Butt Kicker Gamer Plus and to be able to get a shifter. It's Casey Ellis who has to settle for the TH8A shifter.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back here and find exactly when that happened because it was right there at the very end. And yeah, Brian Hennings just comes back. Let's see if we can find that. We had Hurst. I mean, we had so many people that were in different scenarios. Let's see right here if this is the margin that I'm looking for. Here's Hennings.
Will be a little bit further back out of turn 4. Because here's the thing. We cut to them when Mama T was at the head of the pack. Was able to get through. So also
Back it up a little more.
The reason for the warning was to the 65. This was towards the checker flag. Going to be coming up towards, or rather towards turn 4. And there were some penalties, as we already said, the 65 already a 4-point penalty because of what happened on the final lap. I believe we're on the final lap in terms of being able to check this because they're too wide, I think, on the final lap out of turn 4. But that main group needed to do something if they wanted any shot to be able to make a move at the very end of this one.
Yeah, it's just you don't know who can and who can't when it came to fuel. Here's Hennings dropping back. I mean, overall, just a phenomenal race, and I'm still unpacking it emotionally. I think that all these drivers, if you're Hurst, if you're Daniels, everyone here tonight, just overall, to try to put this in perspective, 8 races with what is collectively a very tight-knit group of people that have worked together, had conversations. There's that happening, which I think is part of the race review. Just overall, having all these people and us being asked to be a part of it, I'm probably gonna stay up until at least 4:30 in the morning unpacking all this. So, JP, I know that you had a good time as well. We went back during the breaks and talked about how great it was, and I'm happy that you were here for this broadcast and the whole season.
Happy to be here with you as well throughout this entire season and throughout this entire series, this campaign. As in the end, lots of drivers had to get lots of luck to be able to get through. Lots of battles, lots of strategy, lots of comers and goers. But in the end, Christopher Hodges was the most consistent throughout the season. And then on top of that, he came red hot to close out the campaign, to close out the championship. We hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast for the VRX World Cup and throughout this entire season. If you did enjoy tonight's action, never miss a single race and hit that subscribe button to V-Speed as we bring you flag-to-flag coverage of multiple different races, including what you've seen all campaign for the VRX World Cup. But for everyone at V-Speed, for Adam Baker behind the scenes, and for the art producers, including Eddie Smith, Morgan Cook, Bradley Cooper, and more, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening. You've been watching coverage of the VRX World Cup, its second season, and its finale from Daytona. Congratulations to Bill Daniels, your winner for the World Center of Racing, and congratulations to Christopher Hodges, your champion for Season 2.